Hi guys, so I ran the buggy, ran it at the Air RC Club track, which is a pretty cool indoor facility. Unusually I decided not to take it out and bash the hell out of it in a skate park, but actually run it in the sort of environment it should be running, kind of an off-road style track, even though this one's indoors, got jumps and bumps and lots of twists and stuff. Good test for it. First impressions honestly, it's slow. Straight off in this track you're down a straight, and I found that going down the straight it was pretty slow. Second impression very soon after that, handling was good, cornering was good, steering was good, really did well on the twists and turns, nice and stable going through bends, coming off the bumps. This track at Air is notoriously grippy. It's an old office style carpet, and if your cars are at all unstable or don't handle so well, flips over really easy. The tyres grip super well on the carpet, too well, and if there's any kind of instability going around bends, the tyres will grip, car will flip. Unlike if you're on like kind of dirt or something where you'll get a bit of like slide to stop it flipping over. But this did really well, so yeah, I was impressed with it. I liked it, it was good fun, but as I say, a bit slow, but that's because I'm used to lipo power and brushless power. So I thought simple upgrades, upgrade to lipo, upgrade to brushless. And at some point I'm going to upgrade from bushings to bearings soon. I think that's pretty much all that's needed. One thing I did notice here is the cables that I tied up, I kind of had let them just kind of drape down in the middle, and they actually got caught in the central drive shaft here and wore a bit of the cable, the clear plastic protector up there, so I've taped those up. Something to be careful of, so I made sure that these days they're kept well out of the way. If the drive shaft proves to be a problem or weakens, I can replace that, maybe an aluminium one or something. So the lipo thing, lipo is easy. Got an adapter for the battery, lipo on. Let's turn that on, beep. Got a tiny bit more power out of the lipo. It also means that I can run my two lipo batteries instead of buying more nickel ones. Nice and convenient. Brushless, got Hobbywing Quick Run 3650 censored 13.5 turn brushless motor, which seems to be endorsed by Schumacher, which as far as I understand, they're a pretty damn good racing buggy car make, so feel happy with that. So swapping this over, does come with the brushless ESC already, of which I'm using two cables for the brush motor and one free cable to use with brushless. Two things to do. Firstly is physically swapping the motor over, that's the easy part, just screwing things. Secondly is getting the electrics working, and that involves making head or tail. That's the Japanese side, that's not that. Okay, making head and tail of the ESC instructions, changing it over from brush to brushless, setting up the brake setup, etc, etc. Yeah, so I find my experience of doing electrics is some of these things with the setups, and you've got to hold this button for like 3.26 seconds and then press it in quick succession 8 times while holding the transmitter button on or off, depending on what you're doing. It's all a bit black magic, and it does take a bit of work, bit of time, a bit of trial and error, but it usually works in the end, particularly if you actually read it really carefully. So I'm going to go through and actually test this working first with the electrics and then install it. So let's go. Okay, so first part of the electric setup. I've unplugged the brush motor, ready to plug this in, but I'm going to set up the ESC first. So switch on receiver while holding down set button. So, and then it says LED flashes in order: red, green, orange, red. I've just tested this. Orange is very similar to red. Release the button when the LED lights up orange. The LED flashes orange, green, orange, and repeats that. Press the set button when the LED is orange to set brushless mode, or when LED is green to set brush mode. So let's give this a go again. Set button, down, turn on. Red, green, orange, which is very close to red. Now it's flashing orange, green, orange, green, orange. Press set. It's now flashing orange. LED will flash orange in brush mode and green in brush mode. If the current mode is correct, press the set button again to complete setup. Set button again. Goes off and then flashes. And setup is complete, LED turns off and then flashes to show current settings. The LED blah blah blah. Right, let's turn this off and get the motor plugged in. Now, I had a bit of an issue with these. This came with some pins already on there. I thought that you had to plug these pins in like so, and they don't quite fit, and I tried to bend them in and I snapped one of them. Panicked. Then I looked at the instructions, realised that these things come off, you don't plug them in there at all. You plug them in like so. The only thing is this plastic is getting in the way, and this connector here is a little bit loose. So what I think I can do is just cut that plastic off, so it's just right down to the connector, squeeze the connector a bit, and they should sit snugly on there. So now it's a bit of a gamble. If I do that and it doesn't work, well, it just means there'll be a little bit of exposure if I put it back into brush mode. I think it should be okay. So I'm just going to get a knife, trim those off, plug it in, see if it works. Okay, semi-cunning plan. I'm going to do the cutting and squeezing of these connectors on the wire that isn't used for the brush model. So if something goes disastrously wrong, at least it'll still run on the brush. So let's give it a try anyway. So I need to cut that off right at the edge. So this, in theory, just checked orange goes to C. That should slot on there. Obviously it's not snug. But there is a fair bit of leeway in here to tighten that up. Right, I've bent it in a bit. Snug. Does it come off? Yeah. Okay. So in theory this should work, and if it doesn't, I should be able to bend this back out and still fit it on there. So fingers crossed. Very worst case scenario would be, if I really made a mess of this, I would have to get new connectors, put the wires through, probably solder them in place a bit, rejig the whole thing. I've done some electrics like this before for making light setups, LED light setups for the little Charisma. This is all a bit stressful. I like stuff that just kind of snugly fits into place, or stuff that's fiddly like the body shell, but if you mess it up, you're not going to damage a lot of things. Right, so in theory, this is now plugged in and all isolated from each other there. So now, this is a censored motor and a censored ESC. Censored as in there's a sensor in it, not that anything needs to be censored. I try and keep the language fairly clean. Steve Webb is a family business, a family RC. I don't know what censored is, I haven't looked it up. I don't know whether this needs to be censored, but it says it's censored. So I'm going to plug that one into there. So I'm going to plug it in and assume it is necessary. Okay, so there we have it. Let's just check these. A is blue, B is yellow, C is orange. Those are in. There's no shorts there. They're all clipped into place. Censored is in. That mode, I checked it, I did it twice to put it on. Right, so let's plug some power in, like so. Transmitter on. This on. There we go. We have a working motor. Right. It's got a lot of setting up here. High point setup, neutral brake setup, brake setup. Neutral brake setup is when you let it go to neutral or brake automatic. This is for racing around tracks. Now I am trying to run this around a track, however I'm not nearly good enough to do without reverse. So I need to have a normal brake setup where you let it go to neutral and it'll just decelerate normally, and you press it forward to brake, forward again to reverse. I need the reverse mode on. Reverse setup label. So I'm going to run through these. I'm not going to do it on the screen because it's not that interesting. The most important thing is I have got this working, and we'll see about getting it fully installed. Okay, so I went through the procedures here. They all actually worked fine once you get used to the LEDs flashing. Reverse setup and low voltage protection setup. I didn't need to do those because they are on by default, so you only have to change those if you want to. Not sure why you'd want to remove low voltage. So the thing now is to take all of this gubbins apart and put the new motor in. So this will be a nice simple process. It was all that screwing. I've kept the motor plugged in for now because I'm not sure how easy, when this is in here, how easy it will be to plug these in on top. It might make it a little bit more awkward with some screwing and unscrewing, but I think it'll be okay. So now what I'm going to do is take this off the mount, put this in the mount, I presume. The screw holes will be pretty similar, yep. And do the pinion as well. Goodbye brush motor, it was nice knowing you, however briefly. Okay, it did defeat me. I have to check the manual here. With the motor, it's got to be plugged into the motor mount at a couple of the correct screw holes for this particular pinion gear with this particular spur gear. And in this case, it is 17 and the one opposite. Now this is a bit tricky because 17 and the one opposite will leave the cables at the top to one side or the other. So I'm going to have to hope that they fit in okay. If I was using a different screw hole here, say I was able to use screw hole 16. 16 would go in there and I could have them exactly at the top, but it's got to be 17 for it to run these gears. So So I'll put it in place with 17 and the one opposite, and fingers crossed that this will fit in. I'm actually going to check first which way would be ideal. If I just screw one of these in. Okay. So I've gone with it at an angle towards the drive shaft to give the sensor cable more room, and plugging that down, that is still well away from the drive shaft there, so that's okay, that is cool. That means the sensor cable is out here. It's all a bit of a mess, but it means it's out of the way. Whether this particular mount will fit over, I don't know, but I can take that bit off. Remember, good old spur gear has to be, is it spur or is it pinion? This is pinion. 10mm out, so let's just get that. Now what I'm going to do now, briefly, this is partly testing, also partly I want to see how it feels. Battery in, transmitter on, that on. So I'm just going to make sure the battery's out of the way, make sure I'm holding this firmly in here. I don't know how fast it is, but it's smooth. It's got that lovely smooth brushless whine. So now, super simple process, screw everything back on, see if this cover fits, may or may not. Tidy up the wires a bit. Right. Okay, so I'm getting a bit of a rattle from inside here. I'm going to have to check that out, see whether the spur and pinion are just quite right there. Maybe there's something slightly different about the this motor. I'm just going to check before that. Right, this cover does not fit on here. And it wouldn't fit on here regardless of the angle. This cover simply does not fit over that. However, it's only a small section here, and it's a section that doesn't even interfere with these screw holes for this. So I could actually simply, how much do I have to cut away? I don't have to cut away a lot. I could actually just trim off a section there and still have the cover. Whether that's needed or not, I don't know. It might cause heat problems, it might not, but the switch is on there, it's all kind of neat at the moment. So yeah, I might do a bit of, take off the switch, do a bit of trimming. It should be easy just to hack that. There's definitely, I don't know if this is visible, there's definitely a little jolt there. Why is that? Because it's not because this is working loose here, does it regardless. Now what it's likely to be is either there's too tight a mesh here and it's sticking, or there's too loose a mesh and it's skipping a tooth. Okay, so I'm back. Just use a variety of modelling tools to cut a small section of the plastic off there. Hasn't really affected the structural integrity of much, but what it means is that now slots perfectly in place over there. Now, I am aware that I might need to get kind of more airflow to here, or a heatsink or something. I'm not like running this for long periods of time, you know, like kind of 10 minutes or a few laps at a go. If I do find heat support on, I can simply take this off. I could possibly cut out a section and put the switch there if I wanted to, or if I thought that was maybe likely to be nudged or something, I could just kind of find some way to stick the switch in there and then put like a heatsink on here. But for the moment I'll just go with the original fitting. So get all these back on. So there we go, all in place. I did discover this clicking earlier. It's just the resistance of the brushless motor. This one is fairly kind of smooth like that. The brushless motor, there's certain things with the mounts or something. There's certain like periodic resistance throughout its rotation. So that is what that is. It's not to do with the gears or anything. So let's just see. Off. On. There we go, that's working. I have to see how this goes. To be honest, it doesn't look like it's hugely faster, but you know, see how it goes out in the field and stuff. Maybe with the lipo it will be a little bit more beef, but it's all good. So there you go, brushless motor conversion. Main factors of this were getting the electronics set up. That seemed to work pretty well following the instructions, even though they've managed to choose an orange light that's alarmingly similar to the red light. Fitting this in place, again, easy apart from just having to alter the heat shield here, but the rest of it is just like putting the original brush motor in, but different. So there we go. Cheers, guys.